Graham publicly taught the doctrine that, as a general proposition, man causes his own sickness and suffering, that in almost all cases, he is more or less to blame for being sick, and that he as truly owes society an apology for being sick as he does for being drunk. Sylvester Graham, July 13th, 1884.
That was Sylvester Graham, and I'm John Rose. I was reminded of that quote the other day and was thinking how true it really is. In fact, I might take it a step further, because I know that most of our illnesses are self-inflicted, and I would go as far as saying that the sick person owes society an apology more than the drunk does, because there's more sick people, and virtually everyone who's drunk is already sick. Sylvester Graham understood what was going on. He was part of that natural hygiene movement that was finding out that we weren't living the right way and that we're the problem, meaning we're the solution too. That should be good news. But I want you guys to stop and think about that. The sick person owes everyone else an apology. Think about it. That person who's a glutton, stuffing their face with all types of junk food, going to doctors without any money, taking all these pills and taking taxpayers' money, dipping into our retirement account. You know, they set aside money for us to retire when we got older, but now they're using most of that to pay medical bills. And that's by design, because the powers that be want us to be poor. But we need to realize the kind of responsibility each and every one of us has. I've said many times, no man is an island. The individual cannot escape the collective. We cannot come out of Plato's cave and be out of it as long as the vast majority of us are still in there. Whatever you do affects everyone else, and on many different levels. Not only are you sick people a financial cost to society, but you're bringing the rest of us down. You know the old saying, a chain breaks at its weakest link. Our society is full of weak links. Our society is sick. The vast majority of us are sick. Even if we don't have any acute or chronic diseases manifesting now, it doesn't mean you don't have a latent disease that's just waiting to happen. That's where most of us are at if we're living the way most people live. Remember, we build up a tolerance to our mistakes at an early age. It's a lot like smoking those cigarettes, right? I can remember the first cigarette I puffed on as a little kid. Coughed my head off. But you know what happens to people who start smoking? Next thing you know, they smoke a pack or two a day without coughing at all until many decades later, and they start coughing blood up. But the same thing happens when we eat the wrong food. We build up a tolerance to it. We get sick as children, but no one understands the cause of disease, especially our so-called experts, so we take our sick children to the doctors, and they blame it on a microbe, the germ, the virus, not realizing those are the consequences of our bad choices. The cause is our bad choices. But we don't know any better, do we? We just keep passing our mistakes on down to our children. We're taught doctors have the answer, so we take our children to the doctors. And they don't know that childhood diseases are parents' mistakes. Got to stop blaming the microbe, my friends. Louis Pasteur confessed on his deathbed. The microbe is nothing, the terrain is everything. The microbes are a consequence, not the cause. So we can't blame the germs. We can't blame the viruses. To an extent, we can blame society because society attacked early, fed us with a bunch of baloney, thinking doctors had the answers. But you guys owe society an apology. You guys have got to learn the mistakes you're making and be the best that you can be, so you can be an asset to society instead of a liability. Right now, all you sick people are liabilities to our species. You owe us an apology, just like the drunk owes us an apology. Now, I realize there are happy drunks and angry drunks. Some people don't hold their liquor very well at all, do they? Does the happy drunk owe society an apology? Well, not in the same way the bad drunk does, the angry drunk, the mad drunk, the one that becomes mean, the mean drunk, I think is the word I've been looking for. Is a word that describes those type of people. I've met them in my life. I don't go there anymore, but I was a young man and I followed the crowd like everyone else. I was a victim of society. I did what everyone else did because that's what I was programmed to do. And I don't remember that many mean drunks in my time. It seemed like my memories way back then were of good times, happy times. Now, Sylvester Graham was a temperance reformer. He didn't like people drinking. But he understood that that wasn't the big problem. He understood it's what we eat that causes those problems. When we don't eat the right foods, when we don't eat our biophotons, we know something's wrong and something's missing, so that's when we turn to the wrong food or sex or drugs or money or relationships to try to get that warm, fuzzy feeling that we're missing because we're altering our food. So if you don't want to be a liability anymore, if you want to turn your life around, you've got the ability to do it if you just look at my YouTube channel. Did a 2-hour seminar on how to take a solid food vacation so you can be in a better position to evaluate what you're doing, what you've been doing, and what you need to do. As it is, most people aren't going to think it's a fair trade. You won't see results fast enough if you go about it a baby step approach. Take that quantum leap approach. Jump onto that solid food vacation. Go for the appropriate length of time till you stop eliminating bad stuff out of you. It's a powerful, transformational experience that can turn a liability into an asset. We shouldn't have any liabilities on this planet, financially or people. This world is not the paradise it should be. It could be, it once was. We used to have a paradise before we made that first big mistake where we killed those biophotons and we stopped eating biophotons. It's that simple. Biophotons, sunlight energy, we store in the nucleus of our cells. If you haven't seen my videos before, it's how cells communicate. It's our spidey sense, our sixth sense. It's what allows us to feel one with everything. And without it, it turns an intelligent species into idiots that prey upon themselves. Think about that, folks. Whenever an intelligent species loses their most important sense, their spidey sense, the sense that allows them to feel one with everything, they begin a downward spiral that's out of control. And I can't help but wonder whether or not we're capable of coming out of that situation. Up to now, I've been pretty optimistic, thinking all we have to do is reach the tipping point. If we can get enough people to take a solid food vacation to wake everyone else up, we can get everyone to start doing it. And once enough of us do it, we'll want to do it. Right now, it's hard to break away from the stream of the crowd. We just want to glide with the rest of them. It's hard to break away from the herd. Psychologically, it's hard to go against what everyone else is doing. That's why I say many times, things will never change unless we reach the tipping point. Otherwise, we're spiraling out of control. Downward spiral. It's not looking good. And I'm sure this is a very common theme around the universe, wherever there may be life on other planets. Whatever the intelligent species is on that planet, as soon as they stop eating biophotons, as soon as they lose one of their senses, they start preying upon themselves. And then they use conventional wisdom to turn intelligent minds into what I termed or coined social idiots. Well, all you do is parrot the same bullshit that was been put in your brain, totally unaware that's all you're doing. Just did a video moments ago about this. In fact, I just finished it maybe 10 minutes ago. I just started this one up where I talk about social idiots. How we're totally unaware of how we're programmed to think and act a certain way. especially when it comes to what to eat and everything related about our health. I've been studying this a long time, my friends. 29 years I've been on the Raw Food Heroes journey. And I now understand that everything in our society of any significance has everything to do with our health, or more specifically, our lack of health. That's how the powers that be keep us where we are. They don't want us to be healthy. They want us to suffer. And I know that's extremely difficult for the average person to understand, because we tend to evaluate other people based on how we are. And since we're not the scum of the earth, it's hard to relate to how scum think. And that's how they get away with it. That's why we're so easily tricked and fooled. That's why it's so easy to mold our brain and not even be aware that it's being done to us. But we can change that if we can simply detoxify ourselves and de-indoctrinate ourselves. We got to do both. We got to take a solid food vacation for the appropriate length of time so we can flush all that crap out that we've put into our bodies. We've got to empty our cup so we can get rid of all the indoctrination that's been put in there, making us think certain things are the way they are, for the sole purpose to make sure they keep happening. Status quo wants to remain the status quo, and all they got to do is keep bombarding our brains with so much bullshit that we can't make any sense out of anything. And it's hard to make sense out of all this confusion. That's why you got to take a solid food vacation. That's why you got to start all over. You don't put new wine in an old container. You got to start all over. No one's in a really good position to evaluate not only what they need to do, but what's going to happen to them unless they give their body a nice long vacation from solid food. Just like the cigarette smoker that's not coughing anymore, you guys can eat crap and not realize the effect it has on you. Wait till you take a solid food vacation for several months. Wait till you flush out that cesspool, the serpent that Victor Hugo called, that was inside of us, that disrupts the equilibrium between our body and our mind. And it creates all of our crime and violence. And wait till you bump up those biophotons where you start feeling one with everything. Then you start connecting some dots. Then you start realizing, my God, I've been struggling with my health all these years. Didn't realize I was such a liability. Been going to doctors for decades, never getting any results, just having more problems. But I take a solid food vacation, within months all those problems go away. That's when that light bulb goes off, because you realize if the powers that be can control our experts in health, whether it's medicine or nutrition, then they can control them in every area of life, and that's exactly what they're doing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, and if you're interested, check out the Thrive documentary. They explain how they investigated 12 major sectors of a human endeavor. They follow the money, and what did they find? A small group of people that were on the board of directors of all these transnational companies. They're all controlling what you think, and therefore what you do. And the main thing they want you to do is to be sick. And as long as you're sick, you owe an apology to all of us. Just as much as the drunk owes an apology. Stop and think about it. Think about all the sick people you know around you. Have you ever thought that they might think that they're a liability? That they owe society an apology? Of course not. These poor people have no idea why they're sick, because our experts have no idea why we're sick. Watch my video, The Healthiest Diet for Humans, and you'll find out the cause of disease. You'll understand how to tweak what you have to do to get healthy, because there's nothing more important that you can do individually and collectively than to get healthy. Nothing is more important than our health. Without our health, everything else is useless. You can have more money than everyone else on this planet. And I guarantee you, if you lose your health, you'll trade all your money in a flash for the guy out there sweeping the streets just to have their health. But we don't have to be put in that type of situation. We don't have to lose our health entirely. We don't have to give up our wealth to get healthy, which is what happens to most of us. And that's by design. All we got to do is find the courage to test an idea as time has come. All we have to do is open up our mind and consider the possibility that these so-called experts don't know anything. That they owe us an apology more than the sick. Think about that. Doctors are our number one impediment to waking up to this nightmare we live under. Because they're the go-to guys, right? Whenever you get sick, ask your doctor, ask your doctor. And yet, they don't know the cause of disease. And they use poisons in the name of health. And since it's the only game in town, that's part of organized medicine at least, we buy into it. It's time to wake up, my friends. It's time to take responsibility, because you, the individual, can do more for your health and well-being than any doctor, any hospital, any drug, any exotic medical device. You are the only one who can get out here and get some sunshine, keep a smile on your face, get enough sleep, move your body, think positive thoughts, eat the right food. You. It's up to you. No one else. And I understand how that might sound a little frightening. I can understand how that might sound like it's bad news, because that means now you got to change. But no, it's good news. If you created your own problems, that means you can solve them. You don't need anybody else. You don't need that white horse coming along with a knight to solve your problems. Go run in the bathroom right now, look in the mirror. You're the hero. You're the knight on the white horse. Once you realize that and do something about it, I guarantee you, you're in for a treat.